This is assignment 1 by Jason Nichols. I'm covering, in public relations, I'm covering 13WMAZ.com, a local news station in my area. I'm covering this as if I was working for 13WMAZ. My first folder is brand folder. This folder has everything that 13WMAZ posts online or publishes online. This is every story that I publish so far, and this gives me an idea of what's being published and when it's being published. That way I can stay on top of what all is going on. The next folder I have is competitors. Our competitor is 41NBC. This helps me to know what they're doing, what stories they're publishing, so I'll know what we're missing and how they are doing compared to us. Monitoring the competition is a great opportunity to help us know what to do and what not to do. The next folder I have is blogs. I cover the Drudge Report, Georgia Sports Blog, Google News Blog, Paul Krugman, Politics, the Huffington Post. I like to have a good mix of blogs because they're great stories to be able to make sure we stay on top of all the news as possible. I cover Paul Krugman because he's influential and he's more liberal, and I like to be able to make sure I know how to react and how to act to people that are opposite of me. Next, I have industry. I'm following an industry. I'm following sites like CNN, Fox News, The Atlantic. These are all different types of news channels. This helps me to stay on top of all the different types of news and make sure that I'm that I can react and how to work with the different types of news channels and the different types of news, but be it conservative or liberal. I'm also covering video encoding and streaming and video technology because we are a video technology company. We use video technology to communicate with our audience, and we need to be able to stay on top of the latest video technology. Next is tech. We are a tech company, but we use technology to communicate with our audience. So in order to do our job, we have to use the technology, and so I'm following technology companies or technology feeds so that I'll know what's the best technology, what's the best cameras, what's the best this, what's the best that. Next, I have social media. And for social media, I'm using two different channels or two different feeds. One is Feedly's feeds or RSS feeds that I get. It's Mashable and Social Media Examiner. Mashable is a great resource on social media news and will keep me up to date on how to communicate with my customer or my audience the best way possible. Next, I'll jump over to Hootsuite. Hootsuite gives me the ability to look at different, to look at the social media feeds that Feedly does not. On here, I have 13WMAZ's Twitter feed, give me the latest on their Twitter posts, and Facebook feeds, which is the latest on their Facebook posts. Sometimes these are the exact same, sometimes they're not, but it gives me an idea of how we're communicating with our audience, what we're saying, and what we should be saying, or what we're not saying, so I'll know what we should be saying. I also have on Hootsuite my personal brand folder. This is my personal Twitter feed and my personal Facebook feed, and it helps me keep track of what all I'm saying and what all my audience is hearing from me. Obviously, I like dogs, so yeah. Next, well, that covers most all the different folders I have. 3 things I've learned while doing this. Just from, or what last thing? Internet marketing. That is my industry of interest. So I cover internet marketing in these feeds. Marketing Land is a great resource for marketing type articles and things. It helps me to stay on top of everything to do with my industry, and it really helps me to stay on top of everything. There's quite a few other blogs in here. Internet Marketing Blog by WordStream, Internet Marketing Ninjas. All this just gives me a great look at what's going on in the technology of internet marketing and how to stay in contact with my audience the best possible. 3 things I've learned from this assignment and viewing my brand. 13WMAZ does a much better job than I thought on staying on top of the latest local news, and they post everything they cover online very quickly. My area is internet dead to me, and businesses don't understand why it's important to stay in contact with your audience online and why using online media is very important. But 13WMZ seems to be doing a pretty good job at staying in contact with their audience and feeding their audience news stories constantly. Also, there are some pretty cool tech news that I didn't know about, like the future of private jets covered by the Drudge Report. Evidently, in the future, we will all have our own little private jet. And it'll be like a little car. It won't be, these big gargantuan jets like we have now, but, they'll be nice little car-sized jets, and you'll be able to go everywhere, kind of like Back to the Future. That was pretty interesting to me. Also, I'm following the local news channels, so I want to stay on top of the political news. And I found out that Sarah Palin doesn't even think that she would be a useful vice president for Donald Trump. I don't really have an opinion on Sarah Palin, be it negative or be it positive, but I did find it interesting that she didn't think she would be useful as a vice president. But all this is very important because I've got to stay on top. Working for 13WMAZ, I've got to stay on top of the latest news. I've got to stay on the top of the latest technology, and I've got to stay on top of our audience. So I've got to be able to communicate back and forth with our audience, not just one way, but 2 ways, to be able to talk with my audience to make sure that they're happy and that we are feeding them the correct news and best news possible, and also local news so that they get a feel, so they're happy, so they know what they're looking at. And this is just very important because otherwise our online presence for 13WMAZ would not succeed. Thank you.